Let me bring in Congressman Krishnamoorthi now, who's a member of the House Select Committee on Intelligence and joins us live. Thank you, Congressman, for coming in. What can you tell us about all of this? I mean, how does it work when something like this is being negotiated, not only for months, but for years? Is Congress and your committee kept in the loop? Or?
Somewhat, yes. We are briefed periodically. Also, you have to remember that the families of the people that have been abducted oftentimes approach their members of Congress to get more information, to try to enlist them in seeking the release of their family members and loved ones as well.
And you had some conversations, or your colleagues? What can you tell us, if anything, about those types of conversations with families?
Well, none of these four that were released back to the U.S. are my constituents. However, I know that they've been in close touch with the government on a number of occasions. And, I think that really when Alexei Navalny was murdered, I think just generally within the community of families of hostages detained in Russia, there was just tremendous fear, right? I mean,
yep.
A lot of people were scared about what's going to happen next. And clearly Navalny's death was not accidental. And so that's why I think that what happened today gives people, just a huge sigh of relief. And, 4 Americans coming home is a big deal.
It is a huge deal, especially for, as you mentioned, their families. As we talked about it a few times, you're going to get good people back. You give bad people up, including an assassin who was a priority of Vladimir Putin. What about your own thoughts about why now and why Putin maybe was a willing and able partner to cut this deal now?
I don't know. I think that, I listened to the prior interview that you did in which Alexei Navalny's release was discussed. And, I personally think that Navalny was on the table. I don't know exactly what happened to cause him to, be off the table, so to speak, and for him to basically get killed in prison. But what I do think is that, right now is a time when Germany was willing to, release Krashnikov. Of course, America was willing to play its role. And once Krashnikov was allowed to be released, then I think the Russians were ready to act. I think within the last 2 weeks, the Russians agreed.
What about the role of the sitting administration, election year, whether a new administration would come in, and the uncertainty that provided or contributed to all of this? I mean, President Biden, when he was leaving the event at the White House today, was asked about President Trump, because the former president had said, and had posted on social media, he would be the guy who'd have to get this done, right? He would have to come in and get him released. So Biden was asked about that. Let's listen from the White House earlier.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miriam. Happy birthday.
All right, so let's get there. Obviously, we're going to play that later. That was some moment, by the way, the little girl, wasn't it? That was so cute when they sang happy birthday. The Biden now was asked about the back and forth with Trump. So let's listen. We'll get to happy birthday later.
Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump now, former president?
Why didn't he do it when he was president?
All right, so why did he do it when he was president? So there you go. What about that? And that's what I was trying to get at earlier, the timing of this ahead of a November election.
Well, I think the president's retort was appropriate. But in terms of timing, I think that the president, he's just a decent man. He wants to take care of unfinished business. You know that he stepped aside from the Democratic nomination to focus all of his energies on completing the duties of the office. And as you know, there's a lot of unfinished business still. And I think this is, if I had to estimate, this is probably among the top issues on his agenda, making sure that Americans come home.
All right, so it happens in the same week. Boy, I think if we were on yesterday, we would have been asking you about it, where we're talking about a campaign. Any quick comment on what we heard from the former president yesterday, speaking about Kamala Harris, this idea that she'd somehow turned black? It was the focus of our entire show yesterday. But any quick thoughts from you before we let you go on that issue?
Yeah, I think it's indicative of why Donald Trump is unfit to be the president again. We're in such a a turbulent time right now where we need the commander-in-chief, the president, to bring people together, not to divide them. And those types of remarks are incendiary. They're repulsive. They divide people. They show grave disrespect. And as an Indian American myself, I really took offense at his comments about someone's identity changing and someone not being able to, say who they are and take pride in who they are, however they define it.
Congressman, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.